it's Brittany from the Pretty Plus. Today I have Mr. Pretty Plus here and we are answering some questions that I had people send in on Instagram. I requested these, when was it? Forever ago. Back at the end of February. And I requested it on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and I don't even know where I put all the ones from Facebook or YouTube, so if you ask me one there, I'm sorry, you can leave a comment, but I just have the Instagram ones. There's enough here, so I think it covers a lot. But I did promise you guys some great, exciting news, and that I've already mentioned it a few times, so it shouldn't be news to those people who watch all of my videos, but we are debt-free. I like say debt-free. We followed Dave Ramsey's steps originally. So baby step 1 was $1,000 saved up. Baby step 2 was the one that we were working on, which was paying off all of our consumer debts. Dave Ramsey says all of them. So all of your credit cards, student loans, medical bills, car, everything but your house. And we decided that for our life and our lifestyle that we weren't going to worry about our 0% interest loan, medical loan is what you call it, I guess medical bills. Because they're 0% interest, we just pay a small amount every month, and then we weren't going to worry about my car. His car is paid off. My car is, I think, 3% interest. It's not worth it to us to, I think, work to pay it off quickly. I would assume that we may even trade it in before it's paid off.
Probably. That's what happened with the last one, kind of.
I totaled it. But this one, I don't think that I'll total. Who knows? I've totaled like all of my cars. But we may need a bigger one than this before time's up. But I'm fine to wait until the very last minute. If becoming debt free has told me anything, it's that I can wait longer to get things that I don't need immediately. So that's nice. And so that's like the big announcement, but I wanted to tell you guys exactly how much money we paid off. It's kind of hazy in the beginning because we had $25,000-ish in credit card debt. I think it was all credit card debt. Credit card and some medical debt that we were working to pay off. We ended up throwing in more debt in the middle and being able to remove some debt, and IRS stuff came through that you guys know about, and what are some other things? Just a lot of random things mixed in the middle. So I don't know the exact amount before interest that we were working on paying off, but I went through, since I was keeping such good track of everything, it took us 1 year and 7 months to pay everything off, and we ended up paying $42,000 in total toward debts and interest on those debts, and I think that's insane. So we make a really mediocre living, right? Yeah. So neither of us make like crazy money. $42,000 is more than I make in a year. So for us to be able to do that in just over a year and a half has been pretty amazing. You think?
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah. He'll talk more, I promise.
Was it a year and a half? I thought it was 2.5.
Was it? I think so, right? Yeah, it was 2.5 years. I mean, you can cut that out and we can redo it, but I said it quietly because... 2. Yeah. It was 2.5 years. Wow, I'm very smart. Redo it. I don't know how. I don't remember why I started saying that.
2.5 years, not 1.5 years. I'm
also,
not re-saying everything.
I'm going to cut in and say this that I should have said a while ago, but just because it was credit card debt just doesn't mean it was like unnecessary things. Our wedding, her ring, our honeymoon, those were all things that were included in our debt that for one reason or another got moved to the credit card. So it wasn't just like we were just buying random things and building up crazy debt. There were a lot of things that ended up on credit cards that if we had a savings, we would not have resorted to that.
Yeah, I think that we probably did more with our wedding than we expected to. We also, total transparency, we thought that we were going to be receiving some more help than we did with our wedding, but ended up not being that way, and we
And we did still get some help.
Yeah,
but
we got
I think
help.
we
Not as
planned
much, yeah.
a little more than we would have
Yeah.
if we had known exactly how much we were getting.
Exactly. So that was rough. And then from there, after knowing that we had so much debt from our wedding and our honeymoon, we were careless. We weren't really buying like crazy things. We don't have much to show for that debt except for the fact that we're married happily. But yeah, anyway, that is the exciting news. 2.5 years and $42,000, I think it was like $166 paid off. And stuff. So
it's more than either one of our individual salaries per
Yeah.
year.
So that's pretty cool. We were able to live on next to nothing, as you guys know with my budgeting. Anyway, just thought I'd share that. I'm going to take these questions and we'll answer them. I love your style. That's
Thank
the
you.
question.
Oh.
It says, love your style, the Pretty Plus, follow me. That's a bot. Anyway, planning a wedding this year, tips for saving/debt payoff with this happening too.
Don't do what we did.
Yeah, I would say we loved our wedding and it wasn't super expensive, I don't think, but we just didn't have any savings for it. So
Yeah.
I'd say that if you're working on paying off debt and your wedding, what I suggest, and it's kind of what we did with Clara when we knew she was being born, we paused our debt payoff. We kept making our minimum payments and we were able to just save because we didn't really know what was going to happen. I think a wedding's a really important thing, and if you want to have a wedding instead of just something small, courthouse type of thing, you're entitled to do that. But I think don't go into further debt to do it.
And if you have time, like you know ahead of time how much time you're going to have, set up a sinking fund. Put a certain amount of money aside every month that goes only to that. You don't touch it until you need to use it for the wedding.
Yeah, I agree. And how do you handle large unexpected expenses? Like example, major house repairs, sinking funds. I have a whole video about sinking funds and I talk about them in every single budget video that I do. But we have a sinking fund set up for our house repairs, car repairs, insurance, like car insurance for the year so that we can pay it and get a discount.
Medical,
well, that's an HSA now, but
yeah.
cat sinking fund just in case they have to go to the vet because that could be a huge expense.
It can get really expensive to pay for pet medical bills.
We have one set up for gifts for friends and family and stuff for like Christmas and birthdays. We have one set up for us for Christmas and birthdays and other holidays that we may need them. And then a travel sinking fund. I think that's all of them.
In addition to that, having an emergency savings.
Yeah, of the $1,000, don't get me started on this rant, but we had $1,000 saved up and we're grateful that we did, and we haven't had to tap into it with the state of the world right now. But it's there if we need to. I think having a cushion, probably a month worth of expenses would be a nice thing to have. Dave Ramsey says $1,000. We did $1,000 and we were fine. I think we dipped into it maybe one time.
I think it was twice, but I don't remember.
And we were able to pay it back the next month, so it wasn't a huge deal. But yeah, sinking funds. And the way we do that is we just put a certain amount in there into the sinking fund account. We have a whole account for it every month, and then we basically take money out of, it's like having little envelopes, only we do it for like in a bank account. It's pretty easy, but I'll link the video that I talk about it in. How did you keep your morale up while putting extra income to paying off debt? You want to take this one?
I personally developed kind of a few different income channels that were completely separate from our finances. So we did not get a lot of money for personal use.
We started out with $20. I think
it was $20
$20 a month
each.
that we would each get individually, like as an allowance.
And then a lot of times, like we would go out to eat in like the first week of the month, where we didn't want to use our restaurant budget, and we would already be out of that $20.
Yeah.
So I've always had side hustles just to get a little extra money. But then when we really were strapped down on our allowances, I kind of kicked it up a notch to make sure that if I wanted to buy something at the spur of the moment, I wouldn't be hurting for that $20 a month because, you know, I like shoes and into sneakers at all. Like, you just get a new pair of Jordan 1s. It's $160 before tax, $170 before tax now. So you're looking at almost $200 a pair. That would take me 10 months at $20 a month. So exploring other revenue streams in addition to your regular job, keep it on the side, keep it separate if you can. If you want to include that in with your normal expenses, you can. And then maybe give yourself a little bit more than you would if you weren't working that income stream.
Yeah, so he likes to have a side hustle to keep him motivated. We didn't include that into our regular budget, just so that we could continue to be happy with having side hustles and habits like that. For me, it was more of like, I like to see the numbers, so tracking in every way that I could. I had paper trackers, I have spreadsheets, I have my budget spreadsheet, I have like a 5-year plan, and seeing that in front of me and working toward it helped me a lot. Sometimes he's the negative Nancy about, oh, we're never gonna have this paid off, and I'd be like, only $3,000 more, and like that for me was helpful. Not as helpful for him because he just didn't see it as I saw it, but I think that we ended up with it being okay.
And you're gonna have months that are like almost no progress, but then you're gonna have other months where you knock out huge chunks.
That is tying into the next one. I'm moving us along.
I didn't even know about that.
He can be long-winded. How do you get back on track when you fall behind? So what he was saying, you'll have months where you're ahead and months where you're behind. We've had months where at the beginning of the month I was like, okay, we're going to have $2,000 to put into our debt payoff or our savings account. And then at the end of the month, I'll be like, well, we have $35 to put into our, and that can be discouraging, but it still means that you were taking your money and were able to pay for things and you didn't have to go into further debt to do that. I think that is what kept me on track, was just keeping focused on the goal and knowing that there's always another month coming. Hopefully. Yeah. How to stop impulse buying.
I can't help you with that. I buy dumb stuff all the time. I'm
on a year no spend, and I just did a video where I updated that, and I think that I've done a really, really good job. I have not done any impulse buying. The only thing that I purchased this year that was maybe even close to an impulse buy was something that I've honestly been planning on purchasing, and it came into like a really good sale. So I think that knowing your limits and knowing how to not test them. So if you can't go into a mall, don't go into a mall. And if you can't browse a website, block that website, because that's the only thing that's going to be able to stop you, is you stopping yourself. Okay, 3 or 6 months for big emergency fund. Love your budgets. Well, so baby step 3 with Dave Ramsey is having like a bigger emergency fund that's supposed to be like, he says 3 to 6 months of your expenses saved up. I think that really depends on what you need. If you're someone who has a really steady job, you're a nurse, you're never gonna get fired, you don't, you really would probably only need 3 months, as long as you don't have like any other random circumstances. But if you're working like freelance jobs, or you have a family, or mortgage that you pay too much for, those types of things can all mean that probably a 6 month would be best for you. I'm not sure what we're doing. I think that my first goal is $10,000, which for us is like
3 months.
3 months, 3 to 4 months. If we really cut everything back, it'd be 4 months. I think 15,000 is ideal for me, but I like setting the smaller goals and then exceeding them, and that helps keep him motivated too. Okay, do you follow baby steps? Was $1,000 a month for your emergency fund? Will you do? No. The rest of theirs didn't come out there. Oh no, that was with the other one. Will you do 3 to 6 months for big emergency fund? Okay. We did follow baby steps for the most part. I already talked about that. Was $1,000 enough? It was for us. I would be afraid that if we weren't already done paying off our debts and we only had $1,000 currently, that in this state that the world is in, this pandemic state basically, that wouldn't be enough. But it was enough for us, so it's gonna be up to you. Okay, so we're gonna end this video here because it's very long. So I'm going to do a second part. It's already up. I've put them up at the same time. So I don't want to make like a 2-hour long video. That would be nuts. So if you're interested in hearing more about these questions that people have that are diving really deep into our budget, then be sure to check that video out. I'll have it linked to the top line below for you. If not, you can find me on the internet at The Pretty Plus on Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, and Twitter. As always, theprettyplus.com, my blog. And this is Brett at Total Dad Thrift on Instagram.